K on News Radio 92.3, AM 1620.
Welcome to Pep Talk with Bridget K.
The opinions expressed on this edition of Pep Talk with Bridget K are not necessarily those of News Radio 92.3 AM 1620, but rather the opinions of the sponsor, Climatech, a professional air with host Travis Thompson.
News Radio 92.3 and AM 1620. Welcome back to the Pensacola Expert Panel. We have Travis Thompson here from Climatech. I do want to say that at 10 o'clock, we are going to be carrying the press conference that is put on by the Pensacola Chamber, talking about our local economy, local businesses, kind of getting some information out there so you can hear it right here on News Radio 92.3 and AM 1620. Travis, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I am good. Trying to keep positive, trying to keep things on an up level. With all the crazy going on, you're just, I've told so many people that's how you're doing, just trying to avoid crazy right now.
Yeah.
So.
And we were just saying, it's all encompassing, really. I mean, we're consuming so much information about the virus and some negative, but we're trying to keep it just completely positive. We're staying healthy. And we know that all our listeners are really, really taking a good look at their indoor air quality since you're stuck in their home.
I would think so. I mean, it's a good time. It does bring it to light. It's something that we take for granted probably a lot of times. That, it's an air conditioning system, years ago when you had houses that breathed a lot, things didn't seal up so well. It wasn't quite as big of a concern because you had a lot of outside air coming in and out of the house all the time. But now we're making houses a lot tighter, putting more people in them. And things like that. So we do see a lot of times where we have the need for additional indoor air quality products. So that's something that we do deal with and we do offer. And it's, I don't know, it feels weird to even talk about them because I don't like pushing anything. I don't push when I sell an AC system. I just like telling people the information and letting them look at the stuff. So even talking about it during this time, I don't want anybody to come across like I'm trying to push things on anybody. We have our theories and methods as to what we believe creates the best indoor air quality. I think a lot of times the things that we don't get a lot of in houses today is fresh air. People don't have incoming air into their house, and that's something that we do like to add when we're doing a new house is having some incoming fresh air to the house that we introduce.
How do you do that?
Well, we actually just bring air in, just like a return air in your house that brings air into the AC. We can simply run a pipe out to the outside eave or soffit of the house where we can bring fresh air in, filter that air, clean it as best we can, and then introduce it into the system. So we're always getting a little bit of fresh air. People don't realize it, and there are monitors out there you can watch it with that, your oxygen levels will start dropping in a house. If it's sealed up really tight and you've got a bunch of people inside, your oxygen levels can start dropping because you're consuming that oxygen and you're putting off things you don't want. So it's best to replace them with that. And then there's other products from particulate filtration. I know a few weeks ago we talked about your filter and how important that is. And the filter primarily protects your AC system. It's keeping the trash out of the AC. It's not doing a whole lot towards your indoor air environment. Now, it is taking that dust out, but if that dust got through the filter, more than likely it's going to get stuck in your AC unit.
Yeah.
As far as indoor air quality goes, that's when you get into things like your oxygen level and VOC gases and things like that the filter doesn't do anything about. So, it's whatever anybody would want to talk about this week, I'm up for, because we can talk about that stuff, and I am perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, people are stuck indoors, so I feel like that's the one thing that they are noticing about their home is the indoor air quality. I know it's something that I was talking with our last guest, Liz, about the dust in my home, and I'm like, why do I keep seeing all of this? And she was saying maybe because you have wood in your room and not carpet. I didn't even know that was a factor. So I feel like there are so many educational tools about your indoor air quality because sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. You're not really paying attention. But now since we're stuck in our homes, people are noticing. About it, right? And we do want to say that this is a call-in show. So if you have a question or a comment for Travis, you can always give us a call or a text, 850-437-1620. He is with Climatech, but you can give us a text at 850-437-1620.
Yeah, there's different things to think about when it comes to indoor air quality. Your filter itself is a particulate, which is something, when you see sunlight coming into your house, you see things floating in the air. That's a particulate. That's not a gas. It's not a bacteria. It's a particulate. So it's something we can actually grab with a filter. The problem with some of that is those things are as light as air. That's why you see them floating in the airstream. So they don't necessarily have to go to your filter. They just float through the house. And unless we move them there or do something else to them, we can't really do anything about it. Now, the technology that's come out, and it's not a new technology, but it's being used more and more, is ionization. And what that does is it causes those small particulates, it charges the particulates so that they start clumping together. Kind of like, think about making a snowball. Instead of having snow falling, we start making snowballs. Well, snowballs get heavy, so they would fall to the ground and therefore be able to be swept up and cleaned up, or they clump together bigger so that our filter works better to catch those particulates. So that's one form of indoor air quality product that we're using now is an ionizer, and there's different methods, different machines. We're using a Remy Halo that I think we've started an advertisement about here in the last week. That Remy Halo does that, as well as it creates a UV light technology with a catalyst. UV lights, people have probably heard about. The UV light, of course, kills molds, bacteria, and all that kind of stuff, even viruses. So that's something
not the
you hear.
Coronavirus.
Well, and we don't, because there's been no study of the coronavirus, so we obviously don't know what it does. All we can do is compare it, and we know of other coronaviruses that it does kill. The SARS and all that stuff, that we do kill that. So it's believed that it's going to kill this one.
Yeah, we
but
just don't have the data.
Exactly,
obviously.
and that's the problem with everything right now is the data. But we have different forms of doing that as well. A UV light on a bacteria or a virus doesn't instantaneously kill it. So if we just zip something across a UV light, doesn't necessarily kill it. So we've got to have a longer exposure for it to actually kill that. So now with the new catalyst technologies they're using, that's more like your outdoor air. It's actually UV working with a catalyst that creates these. It's a free radical that actually creates an oxidized it's not a particulate, I'm sorry, but the word I'm looking for is hydrogen oxide. So that way it actually goes out into the airstream, and those encounter the viruses and bacteria in the house and kill it on site. So we can actually create an entire space inside your home where any kind of bacteria and viruses are being killed all the time. And their claim, and it's been backed up by quite a few different people validating it, even the different universities and all sorts of things. The CDC's even studied it. Within 3 feet of you sneezing, 99.9% of everything in that sneeze is dead if you're in that house and in that environment. So it's a very effective tool at cleaning the indoor air. So those things, along with other, particulate filters and things like that, and bringing fresh air, I mean, you can really create a very good indoor air quality.
Yeah. If you have any questions or comments for Travis, you can give us a call or a text, 850-437-1620, 850-437-1620. So kind of the equipment, and you're talking about the UV light and all the other things. Is this like a long process to install? Do we have to create a new space, or does it go where your HVAC system goes?
Well, some of the technologies, like for instance, the Remy Halo that does a couple of them, that's a very easy install. It doesn't take long. I mean, that's less than an hour. You've got a little bit of electrical work to do inside the air handler and a hole to make in the duct system, and it's pretty quick. Now, when you talk about things like bringing in outside air, that's a little bit longer, and every house is going to be different. We like to use dehumidifiers that actually have the ability to bring that fresh air in when we want it to come in. That way we can either dehumidify the air in the house, or we can bring fresh air in with the dehumidifier and not only clean the air but dehumidify it before we put it in the house. So there's tons of ways to do this. I mean, even an ERV, that's another technology that it's becoming very popular, and if I'm saying this right, I believe it's already been mandated in California. You've got to have them. And all that is it's fresh air coming into the house, and it's using an ERV, an energy recovery ventilator, to try to recover some of the energy in that house air and transfer it to the incoming air without using a compressor and something that's going to take a lot of energy to run. So those are things that they're coming, and it's because we're getting houses tighter and tighter, and we're thinking more and more about indoor air quality.
Very good. So many different things to think about. So you mentioned something about a dehumidifier. So is that one of the products that you do offer to people?
We do, if it's needed. Yes. It's something that we've got some AC systems that do such a good job with dehumidification. We don't really need a dehumidifier, but there are houses that may be right on the coast that may need it, depending on how the house is built and what AC system they have in it. So we do use them. We do install them. We did a fellas out on the beach just a few weeks ago that was actually a pretty neat system, because we did bring fresh air into the dehumidifier with a damper that, it was it's ironic now because he's quarantined himself just to kind of be safe. And he called me the other day because we put a switch on it to where the outside air, he can just shut it off. If he doesn't want outside air coming in the house, he can shut it off. If he wants it coming in, he can turn it on. But that air is getting dehumidified and filtered before we introduce it into his AC system. So there are times where the house maybe, we don't have a lot of heat load. We can run the dehumidifier and the house stays real comfortable. So there's different situations for each house. But yes, we definitely do, install the dehumidifiers. Love to install them with the fresh air coming into them, because then we really help the house breathe.
Yeah, and then I'm sure you save a lot of money in the long run.
You can. I mean, a dehumidifier, and that's one thing we like to consider, because a dehumidifier is an energy, it burns energy.
Yeah.
It's got a compressor in it. So if we don't have to have it, we don't want it. But again, if it's put in properly to where it's coming on only when the humidity level reaches a certain amount, we let the AC take care of it 90% of the time.
Interesting. Well, if you have a question or a comment, give us a call or a text, 850-437-1620, 850-437-1620. Are you guys still doing work during this time going into people's homes, or has there any process that has shifted during this time?
Yeah, we've taken some measures to make sure, and we kind of, first of all, we're dealing with our technicians first. They've had to sign waivers and questionnaires saying they haven't been anywhere, and we get them to sign that, making sure that we stay as safe as we can, because the last thing we want to do is spread it to anybody else, because we do have to go in different places. But we also, I told my people at the office, if somebody calls in right now and doesn't want us in their home, we can do as much as we can do from outside the home, talking to the homeowner on the telephone inside if we have to. Be more than happy to glove up, mask up, wear the shoes, everything we can do to protect ourselves from contaminating anyone. So I think we're going to have to still work, because everybody's at home and they're going to want to stay comfortable. You're not going to want to be in a house with no AC. So we're just doing everything we can to make sure that we sterilize the iPads we're using and keep ourselves healthy. If anybody has so much as a sniffle, they're not coming to work that day.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's until you're clear, we're not going to get involved. And I know there's a process to even know if this thing's, if you have it or not. But, we're doing the best we can. We're keeping our 6-foot distance even from each other when we're at work, which feels so weird to walk up to a man and not shake his hand.
It is
feels
so
weird.
Awkward.
Yes,
it is
weird.
so awkward and strange. And I'm somebody that I love, hugging and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just from a big Irish family. We just love, all that stuff. And it's just so awkward. I mean, it's kind of that same thing, but it's good that at Climatech, you guys are taking those measures and taking it seriously. And like you said, if you even have a sniffle, you're not coming to work.
That's
and
it.
The paranoia between I coughed once and I'm like, okay, oh gosh, what's going on? But we're just trying to stay positive during this time, trying to make everything as normal as possible. And if you're in your home and you're like me, noticing kind of every little thing that I need to get done, making my to-do list is like keep adding and adding things, because I'm just looking, I guess, for more things to do. Check out your indoor air quality, or get your air conditioning maintenance, or whatever you need to do. How often do I need to get my system kind of checked out?
I recommend twice a year. Going into the heating season, like right about now, cooling season when it's going to be hot. That way, check out the AC side, make things that work, and then check it out again in the fall. Things change. Heat pumps in general, they shift back and forth, so you need to keep an eye on things mainly being clean. I mean, that's the biggest part of maintenance that goes unseen. I was just this morning, I had a gentleman who had me on the phone on FaceTime trying to figure out, he's got a rental place, and he was trying to look at his coil to see if it needed to be cleaned, and he couldn't find it. I said, what do you mean you can't find it? I said, FaceTime me and show me what you're talking about. And it was unbelievable. He shines the phone up in there with a light on it, and I'm looking at it for a minute, and I'm puzzled by it. When I finally figured out what it was, the coil was so dirty, it looked like a piece of cardboard and just covered in dust. You couldn't even see it. And then when he got his fingers under it, he was able to actually lift it off like a sheet and peel it off. And I'm like, and that's the kind of thing that, that's just a system. The system's 1.5 years old. but somebody ran it without a filter. And even with filters, you wouldn't believe what gets through them. So you really have to keep an eye on the cleanliness of that unit for it to be effective, because just a little bit of dirt and your efficiency level starts really tapering off. And then we're creating a habitat for other things to grow. Because, it's crazy what you can see growing inside of one of these things if you don't keep it clean.
Gosh, so a lot of like bacteria and fungus and probably a hideout for some rodents when it gets, that's pleasant to think about.
It's a perfect environment for mold and bacteria to grow, because your air conditioning system, if you don't have a UV light, there's no light inside of it. So it's dark, and we've got a cool space, and we've got a lot of moisture. Those are the things we need to breed and grow the stuff we don't want. So if we're not doing a really good job of filtering stuff out first, which we can't get all of it because it gets to a really small level. So unless we're dealing with some of the filters we've spoke about that can actually take that stuff out of the air, or UV lights and indoor air quality products, if you've just got a standard AC with a filter, it's going to get in there and it's going to grow. So you just have to keep it clean and keep it cut down as much as possible. And that's the only way to do it, is to have it maintenance, unless you're going to do it yourself.
Yeah, so this is kind of the perfect time. We're in spring now.
Right.
We got a couple months until summer. And if you remember what summer was like last year, it was like hot as hell starting in May, which was just insane. So get your air conditioning and your HVAC system serviced now from Climatech. You can give them a call at what number?
850-857-4700.
And you can give us a call on the program if you have any questions for Travis, 850-437-1620. Or you can also text us at that number, 850-437-1620. I know that I have a hygrometer at my house, and sometimes I get confused at what level of humidity is like a healthy level for my home.
You want to stay below 60.
Okay.
When you get above 60, that's when you're inviting growth. So that's what you want to stay below. I like to keep it between 50 and 60 because when you get down into the low 40s and below that, you start to actually get into things that can start drying out wood products in your home. You may get a dry nose, things like that. So anywhere in that mid 40s to 60 would be a good safe place to keep things, where you've got enough moisture in the house that everybody's comfortable, because you can get too low, but you don't have enough that mold can be encouraged to grow.
Okay, very good. And how do I know that I need to, call you for services?
Well, obviously, if it's more than just your AC being broke, it would be something that you would have to look at your coil. And in some places, you can't really do that. But if you have a lot of the houses around here, you have a filter down close to the floor and your air handler sits right inside a closet, you can actually take that filter out, stick your head in there and look up. And most of the time you can see a coil there, because a lot of units are built that way. Some of them you can't. Some of them you have to take apart to actually see the coil. But if you take your filter out and even see dirt and dust behind that filter, that's a guarantee that it's in your unit. So if you've got any kind of dirt and dust behind that filter when you take it out to replace it, that's a good indicator that you probably want to get that coil looked at and make sure that you don't have stuff in there that could be causing you health problems that you don't even know about.
How often should I be changing my filter? Is it a case-by-case basis? I know I kind of get in arguments with my roommates about this sometimes.
No, it is. And we actually, even our technicians at work, we go back and forth about it, because there's no direct answer. They encourage you to do it once a month. And when I say they, filter manufacturers, well, guess what they sell? Filters. I understand how that works. But there are places that need it more than that. I have seen several places that every 2 to 3 weeks they've got to change their filters. And then I've seen other places go 2 to 3 months without changing a filter. All of that depends on the size filter you're using for the size equipment you have, how much airflow you're actually bringing through it, and then how much particulate you have in that house. Pets bring a lot in with them. I learned the hard way. I got a German Shepherd. And,
I love German Shepherds.
I do too, but I wish I could shave him. He's so bad. Love him to death, but he hair everywhere. And I've seen him come in the sunlight and shake. And it's unbelievable.
Talk about particulates.
You've seen Pigpen on Charlie Brown. It's just a plume of dust. It's like, oh man. But yeah, so if you have pets, you may do it more than somebody that doesn't. If you have a condo, those are typically very, very clean, especially up on the 3rd, 4th floor and above. They just don't get a lot of dust in them. So Everybody's a little different, but I would say at least check your filter monthly. There's certain times of the year it doesn't run much.
Mm-hmm. We do have a couple of text message questions that just came through, so I want to make sure that we get to them. The first one is, can you add a UV light as a retrofit? Does it void my warranty? My system is 2 years old.
It would not void your warranty, and yes, you can add it, no problem. It does need to be done correctly, but yes.
So does it need to be done by the same person that maybe installed their system, or can you get it done from anybody?
No, you could have it done from anyone. There were some things with UV lights when they first came out. Some systems, if you shine a UV light on certain products, it breaks down.
Okay.
So you have to be careful where that light is and make sure that it's not shining on something that will deteriorate, or like some drain pans, you may put them on there and it cracks them because they're not built to be UV resistant. So as long as you're careful about where it's put and you do it correctly, yes, you can do it, and it can be done by anyone.
Okay, great. And then our second question is, how much is it to clean my AC system?
It would depend on how bad it was. The gentleman that called me today, we were talking about it, and you could be anywhere from $100 and $150 if it's a fairly mild cleaning, up to $300 or $350. Just depends on what type system you have, and that $300 or $350, that's when you're actually taking the coil out of the system, taking it out in the yard, putting a chemical through it that purges everything out of it. I mean, that's a very, very thorough cleaning in that ballpark.
Okay, perfect. And we're coming up on about 4 minutes left in the program, so there is still time to get your questions in for Travis. 850-437-1620. 850-437-1620 is the number to call or text. And I just want to let our listeners know that at 10 o'clock, we are going to be carrying the press conference from the Pensacola Chamber of Commerce, talking all about our local economy and our local businesses, kind of answering people's questions. So stick right here at News Radio 92.3. Why don't we give everybody your information so they can call you today?
Sure. Our number again is 850-857-4700. You can also find us online at climatechproair.com. Climatech is spelled CLIMATECH. Either way, you can get us. You can call us anytime. Our guys are on call all the time, so even if it's after hours, you can give us a call.
How long will a new AC system last in somebody's home?
Oh, there's a loaded question. I guess the life expectancy of a unit, all your products now come with a 10-year warranty, so you're going to expect at least 10 years out of them. After that, it has to do with the quality of the system. We sell American Standard brand. I sell American Standard because I truly believe that the quality of that system is really, really good. I love it. That system to me should last you more in that 15 to 20 year range, in my opinion. Now, again, we live in salt environment, so if you put it on the salt water, it's going to shorten the lifespan. However, the American Standard product with the all aluminum coil does tend to outlast all the others out there. So, that's anywhere from a lesser expensive system, maybe 12 to 15 years, and then your better quality stuff 15 to 20.
Is that, if it's on the salt water, is that because that air kind of corrodes the coil quicker,
right.
or what is the reasoning for that?
That's right. It does. It speeds up an electrolysis process, and you've got dissimilar metals in standard coils that are copper and aluminum together, so it increases the speed of that electrolysis that breaks it down, and then the coil starts to deteriorate really quickly, and that's another reason I like the American Standard product. It's all aluminum, so it doesn't have that electrolysis going on, so it tends to last a lot longer.
All right, great. So we know a lot of people are staying in their homes. We're quarantined. We're self-isolating. So like I was saying earlier, this is a time where you can call Climatech. They are still doing services. Do you guys do commercial work as well, or just residential?
Oh, no, we do commercial as well. Churches, restaurants, do a lot of restaurant work. Matter of fact, we're putting in a Chipotle now.
I know. I am
excited.
so excited. That was one of my downfalls of Pensacola when I moved here. I was like, there's no Chipotle? How am I going to live?
I told my wife when I got the bid, I'm like, I don't even care if I get to work. We're getting a Chipotle, and then I wound up with it. So, yeah, we are getting one in.
Well, you're going to have to tell me the secret location of that after we go off the air. So I get the inside scoop. That's the benefit of having this job. But we're having a minute left on the program. So why don't we kind of recap what we talked about today and give everybody your information one more time?
Sure. It's Climatech. I'm at 850-857-4700. Like I said, we do AC work. We've been involved with indoor air quality products for a number of years. Anything from filtration to the UV lights, and be glad to answer any questions anybody has about them, because when you get online and start looking, you can really you can get yourself lost in it, and there's a lot of information out there, a lot of misinformation, but there's a lot of good information as well, and we'll be glad to help you clear it up.
And you guys have been open for a long time, a family-owned business, so you know that you're doing business with people that you can trust. At Climatech, give everybody the number one more time.
850-857-4700.
And if you missed any of this program, it will be available as a podcast on our News Radio 92.3 website. Thank you so much, Travis, for being with us today. We have the Pensacola Chamber of Commerce press conference coming up next, so don't go anywhere.